This was the first time he came to an internet cafe. Looking at the computer, he didn't know how to operate it, so he turned to the network administrator for help. The guy laughed immediately after hearing, "Who doesn't know how to use the internet these days? Wait, did you just get out of prison or something?"
Oh shit. Wait, you would have had to been in there for what?
Like 20 years?
With the help of the webmaster, the man knows some basic operations. He typed his father's name in the search box, but the search result shows his father died of a heart attack in 2001. The man's tears immediately wet the corners of his eyes. He had missed so many things over the years. His name was Russell. For breaking the law when he was young, he was sentenced to 21 years in prison. Stepping out of prison felt like stepping into another world, although he was 44 years old, but his knowledge of the world only stayed at the moment of his imprisonment. After his release, Russell found a job washing dishes. He was doomed by a bad experience, returning to his cold, small apartment at night, eating cold burgers, catching up on the boring soap operas on TV, probably the most relaxing part of Russell's day. He didn't like the ketchup that came with his order, so he'd throw it on the table every time, but some would fall on the floor. It was as if to suggest that he was doomed to failure later in life, since he was still on parole. Every week Russell had to report to the police station. The police told him to send the report by email. Russell went to an internet cafe, but he didn't know how to use the computer, so the scene at the beginning of the video appeared. On this day Russell left work after taking out the garbage, but suddenly there was the sound of a baby crying. It sounded like it came from the trash can. When he opened it, the baby's cries intensified. Russell was so frightened that he closed the lid. He looked around and no one came to help. He opened the trash can again. Sure enough, it was a baby girl. The baby looked like she was only 3 months old. How cruel of her parents to throw her in the trash. Russell carried the baby back to the store. She tried to call the police, but the only phone was in the office. The manager locks the office door at the end of the day. Russell picked up the bag the baby was in. Inside was a piece of paper that said her name was Ella. Russell took her back to her apartment, but Ella wouldn't stop crying, so as not to disturb the neighbors. Russell took out his keys to cheer her up. Ella held onto the key and really stopped crying. Then she quietly went to sleep. After much hesitation, Russell picked up the phone and dialed 911, but when confronted by the police, Russell was so nervous that he couldn't say a word. He hung up the phone and regretted it. A knock on the door woke him up in the morning. It was 2 police officers, because Russell had hung up the phone in a hurry, so they came to ask what had happened to him. They were interrupted by Ella's cries. The cops didn't continue to check his papers, and told him to go ahead and check on the kids, but Russell was just about to close the door. The other policeman held out his hand to block it. Russell thought he had been discovered. However, the policeman said,
Tummy massage. She's got colic. You gotta massage her tummy. Look, now you can get colic tabs, or someone once told me about a tummy massage, and we always found that worked best on my little guy. Hang in there. Gets better.
It's a good thing it was just a false alarm. Listening to the police, he massaged Ella's tummy. He was humming a lullaby. Ella listened to the lullaby and went to sleep. But the next morning, Ella was so hungry that she cried. Russell couldn't stop coaxing her for a while. He remembered the jam on the table. He spilled it all over Ella's face when he fed it to her. Ella expresses her displeasure with more intense cries. Russell learns his lesson this time. He uses a fork to poke holes in the jam. Little by little, he feeds it to Ella. This time he succeeded. Not only did Ella stop crying, she ate several boxes in a row. After eating and drinking, she went to sleep again. Russell went to the supermarket to buy baby items. He didn't know which bottle to choose, so he went to ask the sales clerk. The lady was very enthusiastic. She took Russell to the baby section and shared her parenting knowledge, but the lady couldn't stop talking. Russell was worried about Ella, who was home alone, so he had to interrupt rudely. Then he grabbed his stuff and ran back. He didn't even care if it fell on the floor. Luckily, Ella was safe when he opened the door. She waited quietly for Russell to return. Ella was like an angel of light. She brightened Russell's dark life.